Here's space for Kirby Yates. Also, an update on Michael Kopech's injury. Is he really injured? We're talking about the Dodgers' explosive bullpen. Also, Yankees manager and their owners crying poor. We're going to talk about the Yankees. All that more coming up next on Dodgers Dugout Live.
It's time for Dodger Baseball.
Welcome to Dodger Stadium.
This is the golden age of Dodger baseball. The Dodgers are building a dynasty.
You got it, Warrior Parade. We got it, Parade. The Dodgers punch back and head to the championship series. Tony starts the 50-50 club. Monkey magic. Freeman hits the ball to right field. She is gone. Start the party, Los Angeles. Your Dodgers have won the World Series.
Think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.
Everything you need to know about your boys in blue in less than an hour. My name is Doug McKain, credential member of Dodgers Media. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMac_LA. Now, if you haven't yet, do me a huge favor, do two things. Subscribe to the Dodgers Nation YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. Hit the like button. Also, join our new Discord channel. We got some more information on that a little later. Also, on all your takes on all things Dodger baseball, I asked you guys over on the X, what move should the Dodgers make to make the Kirby Yates move official? The Dodgers need to free up a spot on the 40-man roster. What do you think the Dodgers need to do? Of course, I got producer Noel sitting in the producer's chair today. He's rocking with us. Our guy Antonio, he's out of town for the moment. So shout out to Noel, and he's going to be doing the same thing. He's going to be looking for all your fire takes, all your comments down below, all your seventh inning stretch comments, and he'll be looking for everything to put on the screen. Any super chats will feature as well. But my man Noel, let's talk some Dodger baseball. You ready?
Let's do it, man. Number one Dodgers podcast, baby. Let's get to it. Nothing better.
Let's get it with the leadoff.
Leading off, the hottest story in Dodger baseball.
So the hottest story in Dodger baseball is about Kirby Yates. Now, we've heard about the signing of Kirby Yates and the Dodgers needing to make it official, but yesterday we got more information, and of course, when Passan tweets it, that's how you know it's officially official. Passan's that one guy that does not miss. And Passan tweeted out, right-handed reliever Kirby Yates and the Los Angeles Dodgers are in agreement on a one-year, $13 million contract. Sources tell ESPN can get up to $14 million with 55 games. Deal is done. The Dodgers bullpen gets even stronger. First on Yates' physical being passed was Feinstein. So that definitely is what you wanted to hear because he was having a physical. He had to pass that. He is going to turn 38 in March. So that really was the holdup is does he pass the physical? He certainly has done that. And before we talk about what the Dodgers need to do, because they do need to make a corresponding move to free up a spot on the 40-man roster for Kirby Yates, let's take a look at the deal. It's a one-year, $13 million deal. He can earn up to $1 million in bonuses. He'll get $500,000 for each of 50 and 55 games, and that's a good amount of money. That's a good chunk of change for a reliever that did miss significant time a couple of years ago. Before his last two seasons where he turned things around with the Braves and then the Rangers, he missed a lot of time. He was dealing with a recovery from Tommy John surgery. He had elbow inflammation. He made just 15 appearances and pitched 11 1/3 innings over 3 seasons after that. And then he found his way back. A lot of people thought that Kirby Yates was done, that Kirby Yates, his career was over, and that he was never going to return to form as one of the best relievers in Major League Baseball. So give him credit. Last 2 seasons, he's combined for a 2.21 ERA in 122 games for the Braves and the Texas Rangers. He's had 165 punch-outs, 65 walks, and he's pitched 122 innings. And the stuff has been really great as well. The strikeout stuff, the high K rate that he brings is definitely enticing to a team like the Dodgers that knows that you have to punch guys out in the postseason. Yes, I say if you want the dub, you've got to slug, but also if you want the dub, you've got to shove, and Kirby Yates does just that. Last season with the with the Texas Rangers, you saw the strikeout rate go way, way up. And that is why I think the Dodgers ultimately sign him, is because he's got that big stuff, that punch-out stuff that plays up when it matters most. Last season with the Texas Rangers, he had a 35.9% strikeout rate. A 35.9% strikeout rate with that many innings is extremely, extremely impressive, especially for a team that last couple of seasons, the previous bullpens, yes, they were effective, but not a ton of just raw, dominant swing and miss. And with that strikeout rate, he's in the 98th percentile. And you look at the rest of his baseball savant page, lots of red. Expected ERA last season, a 1.86. That was in the 100th percentile. A 145 expected batting average, that was in the 100th percentile. Everything is essentially above average for Kirby Yates in elite. The K rate is elite. The whiff rate's elite. The chase rate's elite. The average exit velocity is up there as well. The barrel percentage is elite. Only things that aren't elite for Kirby Yates, fastball velocity in the 35th percentile, averaging 93.2 miles per hour on the heater, and the walk rate at 11.8%, which is the 8th percentile. But I actually like the fact that the fastball velo isn't the reason why he has success. He's not one of those guys that relies on elite velocity to go out there and be effective. Last season, he threw that fastball 60.7% of the time, but he misses barrels with it. He can miss bats in the zone. Also, that split finger fastball, that splitty that he has, it averages 86.3 miles per hour. So once you get the differential there from 93.2 miles per hour down to 86.3 miles per hour, that's how you see the effectiveness of it. Opponents hit a paltry 114 off that splitty. It also gives the Dodgers another look out of the pen as well. You've got gassers like a Michael Kopech. You've got an Evan Phillips that'll give you the sweeper, that'll give you the cutter. You've got a lefty that's dominant in Tanner Scott that can hit you with a elite slider and a fastball as well. Then you've got Blake Trinan that's going to spin it on you with the slider, with the turbo sinker. But then now you have a splitter. So you've got different looks out of the bullpen, and that's one of the big ways to make bullpens effective. So I love this signing just because it truly indicates that, one, the Dodgers are strengthening an area that definitely, I think, need a boost. And we're not looking at, oh, these are reclamation projects that they're hitting on during the season. And those are great, right? But you can't guarantee on them. You can't guarantee that you're going to find a Ryan Brazier. You can't guarantee that you're going to find a Chris Martin and find that guy who's going to dominate throughout the season. And Andrew Friedman told us a couple of months ago that he does not want to spend big at the trade deadline. He does not want to be forced into a situation where he has to go out there and look for dominant relievers because the price is really high. So if you look at 1 year and $13 million as high, well, just imagine if Kirby Yates has the same year he had last year, where he posted a 1.17 ERA, had a 1.86 expected ERA, had 33 saves for the Rangers. If Kirby Yates had that same start with another franchise and the Dodgers wanted him during the season, it would cost more than whatever the $13 million was because you would have to give up prospects. And teams are valuing prospects at a very high level, especially if you're the Dodgers that wants to keep as many high upside prospects as you possibly can. So they're thinking that this $13 million is, one, a 1-year contract, which there's no such thing as a bad 1-year contract. It won't hurt you long term. And two, that if it works out, it's one less thing they have to address at the deadline. So they'll be able to save from that standpoint. Now, you look at this bullpen, though, just look at it. Tanner Scott, Evan Phillips, Michael Kopech, Blake Trinan, Alex Vesia, Anthony Bonda. These are elite arms when they're at their best. I have never been more excited to get to the 7th and 8th of a baseball game for the Dodgers. I mean, of course, there was Gagne back in the day for the 9th. Nothing could top that. Kenley Jansen at the peak of his powers. California Love, Kenley-fornia Love. It was great until it became the Kenley-fornia Adventure later. But I'm excited because I can't wait to see the matchups, to see the mixing and the matching and how they're going to deploy these elite arms. And, of course, you need these guys to stay healthy. You need them to stay on the mound. You need them in that bullpen. But on paper right now, this is the best the Dodgers bullpen has ever been heading into a season as far as overall high-level depth. And you're still going to get a Brusdar Gratterall back. But interesting thing to note is Michael Kopech. We heard a couple of weeks ago that Michael Kopech was going to miss the first month of the season and that it could be some time until he got back in there. Well, Brandon Gomes, he was on a podcast recently, and he talked about this report out there referring to Michael Kopech and him having to miss time. And Brandon Gomes kind of pushed back on the idea that he was going to have to miss any time at all.
Yeah, I'm not really sure where all that. Kobe's throwing and going through his off-season throwing program, and he's like everybody else. As guys come in, we're going to see where they're at and making sure they're progressing well. But yeah, I'm not sure where he's definitely missing a month here. We're getting reports, and Kobe's throwing and feeling pretty good. So we'll continue to monitor him like we do all of our guys, especially our relievers that we had to lean on heavily down the stretch. And we're going to make sure that they're feeling good and we're not putting them in harm's way, because once again, the goal is to win in 2025. But yeah, Kobe's throwing and progressing.
Was he surprised
About the report?
Yeah, he was like, where's this coming from?
Certainly seems like it. So I'm not really sure.
So there you go. And that is my guy, Rob Bradford from the Baseball Isn't Boring podcast. Love that dude. So that is great news. That's great news because Michael Kopech's going to be absolutely essential to this team. Michael Kopech brings that crazy explosive heater that this team really needs. And I also, too, want to throw out what's going to go on with Dustin May, because Dustin May is someone that is going to be back from Tommy John surgery, another major surgery cleanup. I mean, this guy has dealt with a lot of injuries last couple of seasons, and they're going to have a six-man rotation to start the year. So with a six-man rotation, you look at it right now, who are the locks? Tyler Glasnow, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Blake Snell, Roki Sasaki. You look at those arms right there. I mean, Yamamoto, and you got Tony Gonsolin coming back. You've got Dustin May in the fold. But, I mean, the big ones right there. I mean, last year you get the elite arms in Glasnow and Yamamoto. This year you get Blake Snell and Roki Sasaki. That puts you at 4. And then 5 and 6, it should be interesting to see how that plays out, because we know that Ohtani is not going to be ready to pitch to start the season. And ultimately, Ohtani has to regain his two-way player status back. So they'll have 7 relievers to start the year and 6 starters. Once Ohtani plays the requisite innings that he needs to get that two-way player status back, then you're going to see the Dodgers have the full complement of relievers as well as a 6-man rotation. So I've told you that really is the cheat code there to have that ability, because Ohtani is truly a unicorn in that he's a pitcher and a hitter. But you also have young arms as an organization like Landon Knack. You have the ability to use the bullpen as well. But I think Tony Gonsolin's going to be a guy. I think that Dustin May is going to get an opportunity. Also found it really interesting that the Dodgers were in attendance for Max Scherzer. And Max Scherzer, of course, we know the history. And Pat Ragazzo reported sources free agent right-handed pitcher Max Scherzer threw in front of teams at Cressy Sports Performance's Pro Day earlier this week. I'm told scouts like what they saw. The Mets, Yankees, Dodgers, Blue Jays, Phillies, Braves, Cubs, Red Sox were among those present. Max Scherzer has been in contact with Toronto. Now, I have seen Dodgers Nation fans on the X, people out there freaking out about the possibility of Max Scherzer being back with the Dodgers. And yes, it was a fun summer. Max Scherzer was absolutely electric in LA in his time here. The 3,000 strikeouts. He had an immaculate inning. He was absolutely the best pitcher in baseball from when they traded for him to when the season ended. With the Dodgers, Max Scherzer in 68 1/3 innings, he was absolutely unhittable. A 198 ERA. He had an 11.7 strikeouts per 9. Scherzer was an incredible addition and really gave this team a chance to chase that Giants team where they ultimately fell one game short. Unfortunately, he had the dead arm, and he made a business decision in the NLCS, which led to Walker Buehler having to pitch that game, and I think setting him back in a big way for his future. So I don't think that Max Scherzer is going to be back with the Dodgers. I think if you're making anything out of this, it's just that, look, teams like the Dodgers, they have a very large group of employees, scouts, and people that have to do their diligence and make sure that every single thing is looked at to try to improve this team. So, yeah, it's not a surprise to me that the Dodgers were in attendance for Max Scherzer, but don't get mad because they're not going to get Mad Max back in LA. That's a very long shot that I don't think that is going to happen. The guy that's going to be back is going to be Clayton Kershaw at some point, and that will happen near when pitchers and catchers report. Now, the Dodgers do need to make a corresponding roster move. They do need to make a corresponding roster move. So there are some guys that are definitely entering F5 season. They're definitely entering, my agent's calling. What is he about to tell me? And when you look at who they could trade, who they could DFA, well, the first thing we need to establish here is the only pitcher that really makes sense that has options is Alex Vesia. Alex Vesia is not going to get optioned. Alex Vesia is not going to get traded or DFA'd. Alex Vesia is one of the best pitchers out of the bullpen last season for the Dodgers. So that really is the issue with guys like Ryan Brazier, is that he does not have any options left. And I think ultimately the thing that makes the most sense is, can you get a deal done for Ryan Brazier? And Brazier, they really, really turned his career around. They really found a way to make him effective. He found a way to use that cutter. It allowed him to have success, especially against lefties. But the year that he had not having success with inherited runners, having that slow start, and the fact that from a redundancy standpoint, you do have guys, let's say a Bruce Dark-Gratterall when he gets healthy, right? You got a Michael Kopech. You got a Blake Trine. You got right-handers that you can feel comfortable about. And yes, there are more right-handed hitters in Major League Baseball than left-handed hitters. So that definitely is a for sure positive there. But I think that's the move. If I'm the Dodgers, I'm looking for a way to trade away Ryan Brazier because they still own $4.5 million for this season. Michael Grove, he has 2 days and 31. He has 2 years and 31 days of Major League service time. He has one option year remaining. You could DFA Michael Grove, and I wouldn't be shocked to see them do that. He still has the upside as far as the velocity goes. He has been effective out of the pen. They also can use him as a starter if they ever needed to, which is something that gives you a little more optionality with him. And he actually did make the NLDS roster. He did give up the home run in the 8th inning in the blowout loss in Game 2. He did go off the roster, though, with a shoulder injury, so he wasn't eligible for the NLCS, and he was not added to the roster for the World Series. He did make 2 starts in 2024. Both of them were planned bullpen games. He gave 5 runs in 3 innings in those starts. He did have a 4.5 ERA and 37 relief appearances. So Michael Grove isn't great by any stretch or anything like that. But, I mean, he has had some upside throughout parts of his career. I mean, Fangraphs gave him a .4 WAR. He has a 1.1 F4 in his career. So it likes him more than B WAR. The expected ERA, that 3.64, which isn't fantastic. So I could definitely see them DFAing Michael Grove, but the fact is he does have the ability to give you bulk innings. He does have the ability to give you some relief, but he's not going to be a major player. But if someone does get injured, you'd have the flexibility with him. Now, Ryan Brazier is a different story just because, one, you own $4.5 million. So $4.5 million with the top level of surcharge that you're responsible for by dipping into the 110% surcharge by having a payroll that's estimated to be around $382 million now, that basically makes him a $9 million reliever for this season. So do you love Ryan Brazier enough to keep him into the fold for that? He's solid for sure. I mean, look, you look at his year as a whole for Brazier. I mean, a 3.31 ERA, a 3.46 expected ERA, which was the lowest in his career, had 25 strikeouts and 5 walks, but also was injured. He had an injury that really kept him out for a good amount of time. I mean, he missed almost half the season with a calf strain. And when he returned, look, he was good. There's no doubt about that. When he was good, he was one of the Dodgers' better relievers. He had a .70 ERA in 38 2/3 innings a couple years ago.
Doug, my apologies to cut you off, but we have some breaking news from Fabian Ardaya himself.
What's the breaking news?
The Dodgers and Alex Vesia have settled to avoid arbitration on a 1-year deal that includes a club option for 2026. Deal will guarantee him $2.3 million. Dodgers will avoid a hearing. Vesia had filed at $2.35 million, and the Dodgers are at $2.05 this month.
Awesome. So, I mean, look, that's not a surprise. We knew they were going to get a deal done with him, whether it be finding a way to get to arbitration. We see a similar situation like they did with Jock Peterson a couple of years ago, but it was never going to get to that. I mean, he basically gets what he asked for originally, and the year that he had, he deserved it. I mean, Alex Vesia was outstanding for the Dodgers last season, and the Dodgers are taking care of business. They're putting the final touches to that bullpen, so that doesn't surprise me at all, and it's good to see that it didn't get to an arbitration hearing because that gets ugly. That's never fun. Players hate it. The management hates it. Jock Peterson was not happy when his arbitration went down. I think a lot had to do with the fact that they tried to trade him to the Angels too. So, yeah, that's definitely good. I'm glad that Alex Vesia gets what he wants. He's happy. And look, I think a lot of Dodgers fans, he was kind of the butt of the jokes a couple of years ago, but he's certainly absolutely turned his career around with LA, and he's turned to one of the best relievers. And just look at, I mean, his story is kind of like, okay, he gets injured early, or he has struggles early, and then he picks it up later. That wasn't the case last year for Alex Vesia. He was basically good for the entire season, and without him last season, with the bullpen injuries early on, it would have been a real struggle. So great for Alex Vesia. Also point out too, how'd they get Alex Vesia? Well, you got him in the Dylan Floro trade. The Dylan Floro trade sent Floro to Miami for Kyle Hurt and Alex Vesia. Kyle Hurt at one point was one of the nastiest pitchers in their farm system before he got injured. And then Vesia has been really awesome throughout parts of his time with the Dodgers. So would the Dodgers consider trading someone on a high stock level, right? A sell high type low situation. I see people in the comments throwing out the possibility of Anthony Banda. Now, Anthony Banda is another guy that does not have options. And it just comes down to me to the simple fact that Anthony Banda is owed around $1 million, a little over that. And Ryan Brazier is owed $4.5 million. Now, lefty versus righty, when you already have Vesia and you already have Tanner Scott, Anthony Banda is someone that you have as well. Does a righty and Brazier provide more value than a lefty and Anthony Banda? I don't think that's necessarily the case. You look at Anthony Banda last season and how really effective he was throughout the year. I mean, look at the lefty and righty splits for Banda. Just look at him. I mean, look at the lefty and righty splits, and you see a guy that with that back foot slider, with the ability to locate that fastball, he can go out there and be effective. I mean, righties hit 252 against him. Lefties hit 218. He had a 739 OPS against righties, a 552 OPS against lefties. And then I think the thing with Banda too is you're basically using him as that left-handed depth in case something happens to Vesia or Tanner Scott for whatever reason. And the expected numbers are really good too. Banda was in the 81st percentile in expected. He's in the 81st percentile in fastball velocity. Barrel percentage, he was above average. Ground ball percentage, he was above average. Also, too, let's be honest, if the Dodgers DFA'd or traded or did anything to Anthony Bonda, I know a lot of Lady Dodgers fans would probably riot, and it would not be pretty because we know that Anthony Bonda has really been extremely popular with the Dodgers fan base. We had Landon Knack on the show a couple of weeks ago, and Landon Knack talked about how they always kind of tease him a little bit just because of how popular is. So when I look at the moves, I think that Ryan Brazier makes the most sense. That's the one that I would do. Second would be to potentially DFA Michael Grove and then trade him. Or you could even potentially trade a Hunter Fiducia, give him an opportunity with another franchise. Anthony Bonda, no. I would not trade Anthony Bonda. I'm keeping Anthony Bonda. They found him for $1 million. Still be extremely effective. So he is not going to get traded, in my opinion. You got some super chats down below. Francisco Diaz, a $4.99 super chat. My arm just went dead. Writing this is no thank you on Scherzer. He can give his hopes of wearing Dodger blue again like he gave up on us in 2021. That's a great one. I love that. Francisco Diaz bringing the heat over there. Francisco Diaz, D-Mac with signing Snell and Roki. We know Godeshaw will be back. Do you think Bobby Miller is shopped? Seems like he's the obvious odd man out. It's a good question. We had the Cardinals insider on the show a couple months ago saying that the Cardinals liked Bobby Miller and they saw how dominant he was in his first start of the season against them back in March of last year. But I do think that with Bobby Miller, you have to consider the injuries. And he was not just talking to Bobby Miller. He was not at 100% last season. And he was pitching through stuff. And I still think that the upside play is certainly there because the Dodgers can find guys and optimize them and give them different analytics and shapes of fastballs and sliders and find ways to improve their command. It's very difficult to teach guys to throw 98 to 100 and have that gas. And yes, it's a flatter 98 or 100, but I don't think they're eager to trade Bobby Miller. This is an organization that I think has a little PTSD on the injury front from what happened last season. So I do think they want to keep as much depth as they can in their farm system, especially guys like Bobby Miller. Unless there's another move out there that they want to make, then certainly I don't think that Bobby Miller's untradeable, but I don't think that they're itching to trade him when there are other guys that you can trade or move that have the potential, that don't have the same amount of potential to help your organization as someone like Bobby Miller does. So I don't.
So we have one more piece of breaking news.
I love it. Let's do it.
Ha-Seong Kim and the Tampa Bay Rays are in agreement on a 2-year, $29 million contract per Jeff Passan.
It's a good deal. It's a good deal for Ha-Seong Kim. A lot of people thought he was going to sign for less than that. He is versatile defensively, doesn't have a lot of power compared to his KBO days, but hey, the Rays, that feels like a very Rays signing. And if the Rays sign you, they see the upside there. Never thought he was going to be a Dodger. Ha-Seong Kim wasn't someone that I thought was a great fit, but hey, now you're starting to see that last crop of guys start to get moved. But coming up next, we'll talk more about this roster stuff. I'll get into your questions. Just to recap, final thoughts. I love the move of Kirby Yates. I don't think that you see someone like Anthony Bonda traded, like I see down below in the comment section. I think it's a Ryan Brazier trade, Hunter Fiducia trade, Michael Grove potential DFA ultimate trade. And yes, if you're a team out there that thinks, oh, okay, if they're going to just DFA Michael Grove, we don't have to do the trade for him, right? And maybe the Dodgers are getting close as far as having the groundwork for a trade with another team, but they're not across the finish line. That team is not going to want to see that player get DFA'd and not come to them in the waiver wire process. Another team can claim him, and that would make all the work they did pointless, right? So I do think that they're in the final stages of getting to this roster move, whether it is that trade for Brazier, whether it is another trade for another player or a DFA. But I'm trading Ryan Brazier just because I want $4.5 million. I think they have other guys that can help them. And Brazier's a guy who hasn't been great throughout his entire career. Like I said, he had the .70 ERA down the stretch when they got him in 2023. Last year before the calf injury, he did struggle. When he came back, he was good in the postseason. Remember, he gave that home run in Game 2 of the NLCS. So I think that this could be the right time to move out Vesia. You already have a ton of bullpen pieces that you can trust, elite arms. That's the move that I would make. But coming up next, the Yankees are talking about the Dodgers. Aaron Boone made some comments. Hal Steinbrenner's crying poor. And the Dodgers are also interested in a former Yankees reliever. We'll talk about that next here on Dodgers Dugout Live. What up, Dodgers Nation? D-Mac here to remind you that if you have not yet, be sure to subscribe to the Dodgers Dugout Live podcast. You can find it wherever you get your podcast. So if you want to listen to the show in audio form, when you're driving to Dodger Stadium, when you're driving from Dodger Stadium, when you're commuting to work, wherever it is, you definitely want to lock into the podcast. We're going to start featuring some podcast exclusives, interviews. So definitely, even if you do watch the show daily on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to the Dodgers Dugout Live podcast, wherever your podcast. So be sure to do that. It really supports the channel. And as always, think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out. And welcome back to Dodgers Dugout Live, the #1 Dodgers show and podcast on YouTube. Also want to wish everyone out there a happy Lunar New Year. It is the year of the snake. So yeah, I love that. The year of the snake. Unbelievable. They said it's the time to shed any bad energy around you, right? But I don't love snakes, by the way. Yeah. How could the Dodgers consider signing Alex Bregman or Max Scherzer when it's the year of the snakes? You're supposed to shed that, not add that. But no, let us know down below in the comment section. What is your Lunar New Year resolution for the Dodgers players out there? Let us know down below. Got some super chats to get into. We'll get in those in just a second. But another reminder that if you have not yet, and we were blown away. We were definitely blown away with the Discord yesterday. And the Discord is going to be exciting. We're going to be able to get your calls. We're going to be able to interact with you guys on a very, very high level. And if you haven't yet, definitely go to join that Discord now. We're going to have exclusive merch, some behind the scenes content. We're going to have some interviews with players and some Q&A sessions. Also Fan Fest. We're going to have some exclusive Fan Fest content as well. I'm going to be involved in it. So yeah, we're just getting excited about this thing. We've been working on it for months and months now because we wanted to launch this thing properly. So definitely, if you haven't yet, join that Discord server. Join that Discord group. It definitely would mean a lot to us here. Definitely helps out the channel for sure. So be sure to do just that. And also, if you haven't yet, subscribe to the Big Lead podcast. The Big Lead is a show about all the hottest Dodgers stories, the hottest Yankees stories, the hottest anything in sports stories. You're going to find it over there. If it's big, if it's in sports, we'll be talking about it over on the Big Lead, guys. Go to the Big Lead one over on YouTube. That's just getting started. That is going to be a lot of fun too. So be sure to head over there. We got a super chat from 4-seater 777, $4.99. Jim Riley gave you all some love by mentioning Dodgers Nation as his source. You all should make some tortas on a live broadcast. I love that. First of all, I love Jim Riley. He's a good friend of mine. We talk a good amount, and he knows ball with the best of them. He was actually a Toronto Blue Jays fan, so I sent him a nice little message. I wasn't trying to troll him after the Dodgers got Roki or anything like that because, yeah, they've been the bridesmaids for a lot of top-level players, and he's a great dude, and he'll be back on the show at some point as well. We got some other comments here. We got Ray Soto. Salute to the behind-the-scenes Noel. Yeah, Noel's the man. This guy, he can do it all. He's producing like crazy today, so give him some love. Devin Perez, move James Outman because there's no room for him, and he should be getting more playing time elsewhere. So James Outman is another interesting option that could certainly be on the move, and we're about to get into that here in our second segment. And James Outman is a guy that did not have the best year in 2024, coming off what was in a very, very promising year in 2023. In 2023, it really looked like the Dodgers had found their center fielder of the future. It looked like he was going to be someone they could count on to man that position for the next 5 to 7 years. Because defensively, there's no doubts about James Outman. James Outman is athletic. He's rangy. He can get the balls. He has a strong enough arm, takes great angles, plays the position at a very athletic level. He is an above average defender, can run fast. I mean, 87th percentile in sprint speed. The issue with James Outman last season was he just could not figure out a way to get back to where he was in 2023. And you saw the numbers across the board drop. 2023 hit 248. Last season in 156 plate appearances, 136 at-bats, 248 went down to 147. 353 on base in 23 went down to 256. The slug was at 437 when he hit 23 home runs. In 2023, his rookie season, the slug dropped to 265. The OPS went from 790 down to 521. So it's unfortunate because the issue really lies in his inability to hit and make contact at this level. He had a 62.9% contact rate. That is very low. The big league average is 75.1%. So the contact rate wasn't there. The strikeout rate was high in 23, but you lived with it because the power was there. But the strikeout rate went from 31.9% in 23 to 35.3% in 2024. And the isolated power went from 188 to 118. So the barrel rate was down. I mean, we went from 10.1% to 5%. Just there was nothing last season with James Outman at the plate that made you think that he could be the guy for the Dodgers at that position in the future. Nothing that inspired very much confidence. He had 4 home runs, 11 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, 4 doubles, had a 54 weighted runs created plus in 156 plate appearances. So could they move off of James Outman and give him an opportunity for another team? Certainly he could. If I was James Outman and the situation stands, I mean, look at Tommy Edman in center field. Look at Andy Pages. He could be a 4A player that's not going to get his opportunity because he's not getting any younger. He's 27 years old. He's closer to 30 than he is to 20. So they could absolutely go that route too and move off of him. He does have an option year remaining, though. So that definitely is a benefit to the Dodgers. So that's something else to consider as well, as you like guys with options because, look, I mean, everyone's talking about Kike Hernandez and Chris Taylor and the roster crunch that we talked about yesterday. And certainly they have to make a move. Certainly the roster crunch is there. But their own players can get injured during spring training, right? Their own players can get banged up as well. So having guys just hovering around that you could sign and just bring in those situations is very, very beneficial to have. But that certainly is another option. So the options really are trade Ryan Brazier, trade James Outman, move off of Anthony Banda, move off of Michael Grove, trades, DFAs. Those are also the possibilities. But right now, you just have to get close to the pitchers and catchers reporting, and then you can move guys to that 60-day IL, and you can start to figure some things out. But I want to switch gears to, first of all, give some love to the Dodgers organization. Dodgers owner Mark Walter and the Walter Family Foundation, they're going to contribute $100 million towards the SoCal Finals. $100 million. That is an incredible gesture. Mark Walter and this ownership group, Magic Johnson, of course, was in attendance to announce that the Walter Family Foundation and the team foundation will be donating $100 million to lead recovery efforts in the area. The announcement was part of the campaign called LA Rises, which was put together by California Governor Gavin Newsom per the Los Angeles Times. The initiative will connect business leaders with state and city officials in hopes of raising funds and rebuilding all the affected areas around Los Angeles. Magic Johnson said that LA Rises will not only heal Los Angeles, but make it stronger than it was before the fires. Johnson said, "This is a time for bold action. We're bringing together the best resources and biggest hearts across California to ensure that every Angelino, no matter their race, socioeconomic status, or neighborhood, has a chance to rebuild and thrive. This isn't about recovery. It's about restoring communities while also making them more resilient and better than before." So that's amazing. I mean, we've seen the last couple of weeks, all 12 professional sports organizations have pledged millions of dollars. The most before this was Steve Ballmer, who had pledged $15 million. So for the Dodgers to go out there and put up $100 million, that's incredibly impressive. That's incredibly impressive, especially when the first announcement we saw was all teams putting $1 million. So it was like $8 million total. So $100 million, geez. Give this Dodgers organization credit. Because, I mean, the optics of them doing this now, it really, really shows you that, yeah, they're going out there and they're spending a ton of money on players, but they're also giving it back to the community in a lot of ways. They are giving back to the fire relief. You are putting it back into your organization. So, I don't know. Are the Dodgers ruining donating? Right? Are the Dodgers ruining philanthropy? Is that what people are going to say now about this Dodgers team? So, yeah, give them all credit. There's no deferrals in these pledges from what we can see. So, a lot of credit, a lot of love to this Dodgers organization for really making an absolute statement. I will say, from just being at so many of these events for the last 4 or 5 years, the Dodgers, I mean, there's no comparison between the Dodgers and the Lakers as far as who gives back more to the community. Is no comparison, right? The Dodgers are next level. And it's no slight to the Lakers or anything like that. It's just saying that the Dodgers go above and beyond with their philanthropic efforts. It's incredible to see what they've done. $100 million when you look at the rest of the franchises, they're going to do something hopefully too. I mean, maybe this leads to that because hopefully the Dodgers really are just leading the way like they typically do. So that's really cool to see. Some super chats here. We got a $5 super chat for Kike's Bump. I think you guys called it the low 4. Shouldn't it be the low 3, Twig and Berries? Well, no, because it's the low 4 because it connects the two. But yeah, love the show. Appreciate it. I'll give myself a bruh for that one. Ricardo Herrera, $4.99. No way to Max and Bregman's definitely has a punchable face. FTP. Yeah, I kind of said that yesterday. I kind of felt bad for saying that. But yeah, we got. Do you think Ryan Brazier will still get traded or DFA'd? Look, I mean, there have been reports of that. I've heard stuff along those lines as well. So it does feel like it's a move that they have at least initiated, and it does seem like it makes the most sense. I mean, you added Kirby Yates. You want these guys all to stay healthy. So you look at this bullpen right now. I mean, it's a very explosive bullpen. So I definitely think that it's something they're strongly considering. I mean, on paper, it almost looks like an all-star team bullpen in the Summer Classic. I mean, Blake Trine and Kirby Yates, Tanner Scott, Michael Kopech, Alex Vesia, Anthony Bonda, Brusdar Graterol. I mean, you still have Edgardo Henriquez, who throws gas. Nick Frosto is going to be back. Ben Casperius, I think, is a dude. Going to have back on the show pretty soon. He's that man. Jack Dreyer could also get another shot. Shout out to Casey Porter, who dubbed him the Maytag, Jack Dreyer. So next I want to talk about the New York Yankees. So Aaron Boone, he was on a show, and he was asked about Joe Kelly's comments and some of the Dodgers players. Chris Taylor, of course, he famously said that the Yankees crapped down their leg. Joe Kelly said they knew it was over and this had to make the Yankees beat themselves. Here was Aaron Boone talking about the Dodgers and some of their players' comments after the World Series.
They won, so, that they had that right. So, a couple of people like saying some things. It's like, see what you did this year? Like, it wasn't the Freddie Freemans and Shohei's and Mookie's popping off. It was some others. So, look, they won the World Series. We didn't play our best.
I know it had to really
I'll just say, yeah. It did.
I don't even have the quotes in front of me, but we all know what they were.
Multiple guys
Like
hit
basically
points.
saying you guys are a little sloppy.
Sorry,
Joe Kelly, some of these guys who haven't done a damn thing in years. Like a little sloppy, whether it's on the base. Like to me,
Something down your leg.
did you almost fire back?
I'm almost firing back right now.
So you gotta respect that. You gotta respect that he's almost firing back right now and saying that stuff about the Dodgers. And look, in a lot of ways, what Aaron Boone is saying is something that probably we would be saying too if it was the other way around. It wasn't Freddie, it wasn't Mookie, it wasn't Shohei, but doesn't matter who said it, right? It doesn't matter that it was Joe Kelly or Chris Taylor. Both of them were speaking facts, right? The matters is that it was the truth to what they said, and the Yankees absolutely beat themselves in Game 5. I mean, like I was saying a couple months ago, I mean, just think about every single Little League coach in baseball when they're doing pitchers, some PFP, right? When you're doing some pitchers fielding practice, they're going to say, don't be a Garrett Cole. You don't want to be Garrett Cole. You got to cover first base. When you're teaching fundamentals in the outfield, you don't want to be an Aaron Judge. You don't want to drop the ball in the biggest of situations, right? So unfortunately, those are two elite players, all-star players, potentially future Hall of Famers that for the next couple of years are going to be remembered for some defensive miscues because it happened on the biggest stage. I got this little sticker here from the top of the 5th inning, 5-0 Yankees, and we all know what resulted in this inning. So, yeah, I think that for me, Aaron Boone's going to talk. I kind of like the fire that he has. If I was Aaron Boone, I'd be using that as bulletin board material. I would have the 5th inning. If I was Aaron Boone, I would literally have the 5th inning on in the Yankees clubhouse for the entire spring training to have them practice mad and angry, knowing that it was one of the biggest choke job innings we've ever seen in Major League Baseball history. It absolutely was. So I thought that was funny to see. But let's switch gears to the 7th inning stretch because you guys got a lot to say. So anything you got, all things Dodger baseball, drop it right now here on the 7th inning stretch.
The 7th inning stretch.
We got Stephen Blevins on Playing the Show 2024 and just hit a homer off of Lance Lynn. Man, Lance Lynn, geez. I mean, come on now. The Lance Lynn, the gift. Some people think that's old, not to me. I mean, he literally just hit another home run before he even finished the sentence. We got Beer Sama. Honestly, at this point, every team hating us reminds me of the Russian kid crying over the chocolate meme. Oh, my gosh, that's a good one. That's a good one. I mean, it does feel like that. It does feel like, hey, I mean, if it's Major League Baseball, people crying for a salary floor and this and that. No. The truth of the matter is, if you had a salary floor, the Dodgers just still would be the best team in Major League Baseball. And teams like the Pirates and the Rays and the A's, they would spend the bare minimum, and the best players would still try to join the Dodgers because they're one of the true teams that's going to contend. So yeah, they're big mad. They're crying. It's a dark time for teams other than and like I said, look, I don't care. Cry more. Like here, I'm gonna take a sip of their tears because, like I said a couple weeks ago, we lived through the McCourt era. We lived through everyone telling us that our best pitcher was a choke artist, and you've had memes of the Joker on Kershaw's face, and it said Choke Shaw. We had a World Series stolen from us in 2017. We had to listen to haters from other fan bases say the Dodgers had won a Mickey Mouse ring. We had everyone say that the Dodgers won 111 games in 2022 just to lose to the Padres in the first round, that they choked against the Diamondbacks and were a first-round exit in 2023 in the first round. So, yeah, I'm enjoying every single bit of this. The haters are mad right now, and they can argue with a wall about this whole salary Dodgers ruining baseball type of thing, because literally months ago it was, hey, the Dodgers are just the biggest choke artists. It doesn't matter who they sign. They're going to blow it anyway. To the Dodgers are ruining baseball. It definitely feels like, hey, I'm taking my ball and I'm going home because I think it's unfair. So I don't feel any type of way. I want them to sign as many great players as they possibly can and win the next 10 World Series. So, hey, if it gets to a point where it's just Dodgers fans watching the World Series and it's literally only Dodgers fans accounting for the ratings, I'd be fine with that. We got I like being the villains. It's kind of fun. It's a new experience. Chris St. Jacques, does Bobby Miller have enough upside that you could package him with CT3 for some injection of farm system talent? It's a good question. He does, for sure. It's just a matter of how much money would the Dodgers be willing to pay down on Chris Taylor's current contract, which they owe him around $15 million. He does have some deferred money in that contract that was viewed as somewhat of a team-friendly deal at the time because he was coming off an all-star season in 2021. I do think I was told from someone yesterday that they're probably not going to move off of Chris Taylor. So that's kind of that right now, at least. But it would, but Bobby Miller does have an upside, but you do want to see him enter the year healthy and take full advantage. If you're the Dodgers, if you would trade Bobby Miller right now, unless there was a team that fully believed in him, you would be selling him on the low and not on the high. We got John Durer. Yup, Dodgers could be on pace to win 120 games and be the biggest sellers at the trade deadline. Yeah, that's what Andrew said last season. I'll believe it when I see it. I'll believe it when I see it. This is all fun and games. I love looking at the roster right now. It feels like it's perfection. It feels like you're playing in a fantasy baseball league with like 2 teams with all the talent that's on it. But let's see how it goes down. We got Antonio Curiel. Who the hell is this guy? We got About to Catch My Flight. You got this, Noel. Take it easy toward the nation. That, of course, is Tony Taters. Give him some love. Give him a little let's go Dodgers. We got Nick Crone, 99. Pretty sure Kike is staying here. He'd be gone by now if there wasn't a handshake deal in place. Like I was told yesterday, he is hopeful that he's going to be able to re-sign with the Dodgers. He's smart. He's been in this league long enough to know what his options are. So that leads me to believe that he feels like a reunion is still possible. Right now, he is not a Los Angeles Dodger. So I don't think there's necessarily a handshake deal because there could be some framework, some understanding on both sides. But I still think there's some work that needs to be done to make sure that he's back on this roster for 2025. Joe Rodriguez, DMAC, Discord is great, but how can I interact with you in person, Poppy Chulo? Well, Joe Rodriguez, you'll have to see me at a Dodger game. I'll be at spring training doing some live shows. So, hey, I met a lot of you guys. I was at Disneyland 2 days ago, and I met like 5 of you guys with your Dodgers Mickey Ears hat. But would you, Noel, let me ask Noel. Noel, would you wear that? I mean, you're not a big hats guy, but literally their hats had, they cut out slits in their hat and put the Mickey ears. For me, I'm too sensitive. I would be afraid that people would say the Mickey Mouse ring, and then I would get mad, and I would have to punch Mickey Mouse. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to get a fight with Mickey Mouse at Disneyland, but yeah. What about you?
Man, I don't know, because like you said, I'm not a big hat guy. I do like the other accessories, like maybe like a nice little like, I don't know, like maybe there was like a nice little LA like Mickey like shirt, because then I would embrace it, you know? Like the Giants tried to do that thing at their giveaway where they like did the little Mickey Mouse hat when they were playing the Dodgers. You just embrace it because 4 years later we got the real one, and you know, hopefully we're gonna keep getting more. So I'm all about it. But you know me, bro, I don't wear hats.
For
It's not
sure,
my thing.
For sure. Yeah. What is your favorite ride at Disneyland?
Favorite ride at Disneyland? My favorite ride at Disneyland is easily Space Mountain.
Easily?
I would go on
down
that,
below
like,
in the
5
comment
times,
section. Let me know. So first of all, let me. How do you guys think I did in my one day at Disneyland? I've been there for a long time. I think I rode the new Splash Mountain, the Space Mountain, Matterhorn. Matterhorn was a little scarier than I remembered. It was like, roar! And he had the red eyes looking at me. It was cold. Space Mountain, you can't see anything. And it's completely dark in there. Got that one in. Haunted Mansion. Haunted Mansion is really interesting. Do you guys know that there's, when you see like the big dancing hall, you know, there's a big plate of glass right there. And there's a little spider. And if you catch that spider, that's because someone actually brought a BB gun in there back in the day and shot at the glass and made a hole, but they couldn't replace the glass because they originally put a crane in to lift that in there. So they fixed it by putting a little spider there. And then Pirates of the Caribbean, I hit that one up too. Pirates of the Caribbean, I don't know if you guys know this, but back in the day, Pirates of the Caribbean had dead real skulls. There was real skeletons in there.
Wow.
And they actually bought the skeletons from UCLA Medical Center, put them at Pirates of the Caribbean. Then when they found out that they were real, they took them out. But they still think that the one on the bedboard is real. And then there was this one guy named George who actually died while I was developing the ride that they say haunts the Pirates of the Caribbean. So I hit that one up too. Hit up the new Mickey Mouse some ride. I don't know. Some toys. Oh, the Toy Story one where you shoot the things. Dude, that's so fun. Are you good at that?
I'm pretty good at that. I like that one. And between that one and the Buzz Lightyear one, I think I'm better at the Buzz Lightyear one, the one where you're shooting in the ride. But the Toy Story one is really fun.
I am Buzz Lightyear. Yeah. No, you know, they actually, the original name for Buzz Lightyear was Lunar Larry. They actually changed it up, modeled after G.I. Joe. But yeah, no, let me know down below. What is your favorite ride at Disneyland? Met a lot of you guys, and they'll read some more comments. Got a $5 super chat. What would you include for a trade for Luis Robert Jr., Edmund back at shortstop, and Betts at second base? It's the thing with Luis Robert Jr. is the contract is so favorable for the next couple of seasons. The issue is he's only played over 100 games once. You have to bet on the upside. I would say it's tough. I mean, some high-level prospects, you could include guys that are on the big league roster now. I mean, who do you kind of turn to if you want to go make a move for Luis Robert Jr.? But you probably would have to include almost like a Jose DePaula, Zaire Hope, guys like that who they definitely like in their system. You could potentially include some of those younger pitchers that they have a surplus of, some of those guys that are more back-end rotation starters. So it would have to start with one of those top prospects. Me personally, the way it's panning out right now, I think that I would want to see Luis Robert Jr. start the season, make a trade towards the end of the trade deadline if they have to add another bat. But you got Teoscar bat, yeah, Michael Conforto. I do want to see Andy Pages get opportunities. I do want to see Tommy Edman get opportunities to get that more reps where he's not in the infield if you're going to have him be an above average center fielder. So look, you guys know that I was high on Luis Robert Jr. and still would like him, but this late in the game it would require some top level prospects that I'm not so sure they'd be interested in giving up, knowing that the injury history could deter them. We got John Durr. I would be shocked if Kershaw didn't join the Rangers. He's too much of a competitor to be a sixth starter. That does nothing in the playoffs. He's not going to be a Ranger. I can tell you that. 100% chance he'll end his career with the Dodgers. Joe Rodriguez, DMAC Discord is great. We got Mr. Classic. Mark Walton needs a statue in Los Angeles. I love that one. What up, Chug McKain? What up, Sierra Brew? Give you a little home run there. Ray Soto, $200 million is like $2 for us. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty true. Yes, sir, Valdina. I feel like it's healthy to talk trash as long as you don't make it personal. Yeah, I mean, trash. I live for trash. You guys know I am.
That's what Kendrick told Drake too.
There you go. Exactly, Noel. Joel Rodriguez, Boone picking up Teo's celebration seeds to cope. That one's good. But couple more here, guys. We got Hector Munoz. Everyone will try to be here just for the weather and the fans. If there's a limit, it would make us better. Yeah, no, 100%. Talking about the salary floor, it would actually make the Dodgers stronger because they'd be at the top. And look, let's be honest. The Dodgers weren't operating at the top for years with Friedman since the best team money can buy era. It's the infusion of talent with the Japanese players in Shohei and Yamamoto and Roki that's allowed them to really spread that around. And of course, you had the extension of Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman, but I totally agree. But a couple more here. We got Kike is waiting like ketchup coming out of a bottle. Nando 390. DMAC, how many Disney micheladas did you have? Man, I crushed about 3. Not gonna lie, but I was there for a while. It was all good. But that's gonna do it, guys, for this episode. Okay, we got a couple of Claudia 11 Haunted Mansion, Indiana Jones rides are a must for me. Man, that's Indiana Jones like always breaking down, man. Indiana Jones ride is like was like the Dodgers injuries last season, always breaking down, but still worked, right? I dated Minnie Mouse back in the early 90s. She went to LMU. Good times for Cedar. I love it. But that's going to do it for this episode, guys. My name is Doug McKain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. I'll go follow Noel Sanchez at Noise by Noel. Guys, give him a round of applause. I think he did an excellent job.
Hey, I appreciate you guys.
Pinch hitting for Antonio. But this is a pinch. You're like, this is a pinch hitting walk-off grand slam, like Freddie Freeman status.
I appreciate that, man. Like I said, it's always a pleasure hanging out with you guys, talk some Dodgers baseball. Spring training in about 2 weeks, so you guys have a good rest of your day. I appreciate you guys letting me hang out with y'all.
Awesome. Yeah, people love this Disney talk. We'll pick that up tomorrow. But thanks again, guys. Remember, nothing brings together quite like Dodger baseball. And until next time, think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.